Hey everyone, I'm K.A. Will.
And I'm Gabby.
And we are K&G Culture. We came up with that name because we realized that early on, even before we got married, that we are responsible for the culture in our household. So we make decisions on how we run our household. We make decisions on the atmosphere of our home, our morals, our beliefs, how we train our children, and even dealing with finances. So every decision you make affects the culture in your household. So we came up with these videos. We call it Marriage Journey because we want to take you on a journey with us and the things that we've experienced.
So we talk a lot about making our own culture. We're taking what we taking from our parents, and so this video today is going to be one on what we wish our parents taught us. But this, not disclaimer, but like a big overarching theme that I want to make sure is verbalized and clear. Our parents, we love them. They did their best.
Yeah. And
what they understood was the best. And that's what my parents definitely told me, like, when we're doing our best.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back, sure, it doesn't, looking back or having experience of things, I'm like, man, I wish they would have taught me this. It doesn't negate all the good that they've done, although and how they've raised us. There's just things that we notice weren't the best, or things that we could change, or things that could have been done better.
And they weren't talked about.
Right.
Yeah.
But they did the best at the time that they could, and what they knew and understood. And same thing for us. We're going to do our best for the kids in the time that we're in, what we understand. But of course, in 20 years, it's all going to be different. And Shiloh and Khalil will be like, I need therapy because of my parents. Which is fine. And I'm okay with that. I've accepted that because we do our best, but we are not perfect. It's the same thing for our parents. They did their best, but they weren't perfect. So,
I mean, all of that is relative, It's like, we know, like you said, that our parents did their best. And the thing is, we're going to try to do our best, but that doesn't mean that we're going to be perfect. That we're definitely going to mess up. Sean and Khalil going to be looking at us crazy. So it's like, yeah, we can look back and talk about it like how our parents did it. But Shiloh and Khalil are probably going to do the same thing with us.
Making YouTube videos talking about our own culture. Our parents didn't do nothing. They didn't teach us nothing.
But, in relation to this video, one of the things we don't want to do is not talk to them about it.
Right.
So, in essence, that's what this video is mainly about. The things that we wish our parents would have sat down and said, hey, this is what marriage is like. This is how you handle your finances. Just different things.
So before we answer the question of the whole video, so what I remember my parents telling me marriage is you stay together for the kids. And that's a resounding theme that keeps coming up when I think about this, is that you stay together for the kids. You do whatever you can for the kids to make sure they don't end up in a broken home or a single parent household or whatever. But you stay for the kids. And even if that means them not having a great relationship or somebody feeling hurt or being abused, you stay for the kids. What did you understand about marriage from your parents?
Oh man, marriage is not easy. Yeah. I definitely got that picture, and I think it was because of that I made up in my mind, or had, like we talked about before in previous episodes, had this idea that I was willing to fight for it. First of all, that it was someone that I really cared about, someone that I loved, someone that I could see myself being with forever. so that when those issues, or if those issues did come up, you know, it would be for the right reasons, you know. So that's why I understood that marriage is hard, and you need someone that is willing to go through problems with you.
Right.
Because if you're with somebody that's flaky or superficial or shallow, that marriage is going to be hard for that marriage unless they develop along the way. That marriage is not going to last. So
Yeah.
that was my thing.
All right. So, would you wish your parents taught you about marriage?
Definitely one of the things were expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Just, you know, to let me know that you can't go into it expecting things without verbalizing.
Okay.
You know, what you need, what you want, what you like, what you don't like. Because I think for me, I kind of thought it was like an unsaid rule or something that, you know, your spouse would know your expectations. And that's just not true. So I wish I had known that before so that I wouldn't run into the problem of just expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing, how important it is to let your spouse know that their opinion matters. Because I think that was one of our issues early on. And you let it be known to me that you were like, hey, I really don't feel as though you value my opinion. I didn't think I was treating you that way.
Right, devaluing me.
Yeah, I don't think I was devaluing your opinion.
Yeah.
But again, that's how it came off for you. So if it came off that way for you, I had to pay attention to that fact that, oh man, I'm making my wife feel like her opinion doesn't matter. So I quickly had to correct that. I don't know how long it took me, but thank God I did. But
Can I interject?
yeah, always.
I just
Go ahead.
more light has been shed just now. I was thinking about my parents, and I'm like, yeah, my dad. So traditional Haitian West Indian household. You could talk about gender roles. You could talk about what do you call it? Masculinity, paternalistic society, blah 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 blah. It was what it was. It is what it is because that's how it was in our household. So my dad, you know, head of the household, like his opinion was the final say. And I thought about how my mom had to like try to interject, but if he didn't agree, then it was shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, man, it's, you know, I don't think he intentionally meant this, but maybe that's the way he was brought up. That, you know, his way is the way, and anyone else who disagrees can kick rocks or not share their opinion at all.
Kick rocks.
But either way, his way was the way. So probably why that's important to me.
Oh, I got you. So yeah, what are some of the things that you wished? And I guess I can come back to mine later some more. But what are some things you wish your parents had sat you down and talked about marriage, or you know?
A big thing is red flags, or recognizing red flags.
Correct.
Recognizing red flags, like when do you leave,
Mm.
and how do you put up those boundaries. The only thing my parents, they didn't even really talk about respect or cheating or like what you should look for in a partner. Just don't get pregnant, and have somebody who has a nice paying job. That's more of my dad. My mom, she was okay, but she was like, as long as someone loves you. But my dad was like, you know, have somebody who has a nice job or a nice title, because he's big on titles, and didn't really talk about like signs of abuse or an abuser.
Mm.
And I think the big thing about red flags is they can be subtle, and I don't think.
So in other words, they really, what I hear you saying is they really didn't show you or teach you like how to look out for the bad guy.
Correct.
It wasn't really about the bad guy. It was more about this is what a good guy looks like.
Correct.
Yeah. And even if they didn't go into too much detail of what that good diet was, they just gave you pointers.
Right, fair.
Yeah, like, hey, this is.
My mom said, as long as someone loves you.
Mm-hmm.
And then my dad said he has to have a title or have a job. So, as I'm getting older, and I'm glad that I'm in a healthy relationship, but I look at other people, and, you know, there's more than just physical abuse. There's emotional abuse. There's mental abuse. There's verbal abuse.
Mm-hmm. None of those things we're talking about.
No. But then how could you, right? If you're abusing somebody. What you gonna teach me? I'd be like, okay.
Sorry, guys.
So, so yeah, like, does this person make you feel like beep? Or do you feel loved and safe? Like, we even talk about safety, you know?
Yeah,
we talk about healthy.
Yeah.
Like, do you feel safe? Or does this person make you feel like you're the scum of the earth, but then breaks you down and then helps to build you back up and then breaks you down again and build you back up? That's a bad, that's a red flag, right? Or calls you out your name. Or hit you. You guys were playing and maybe got too physical, like, again, subtle things that I have to say, okay, these things are absent in my relationship, or I see these things present in others. And again, if he's subtle, does he make you feel like, oh, I could have any other woman, so you should be lucky to have me? That's a red flag. Yeah. That doesn't make anyone feel safe.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, I don't know if they knew.
Like, because they were taught.
Correct. Or, yeah, because what they put up with, I'm like.
Yeah.
But again, like, did you have choice back then, or you just married who you married and just, like, stayed and, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, and I think along with that, something you said at the beginning, recognizing your spouse's feelings. Because, again, when you think about traditional West Indian households, I don't think anybody was trying to recognize the other person's feelings. It was just like, this is who I am. You either like it or you don't. We together. What we doing? That was the energy that I was familiar, with seeing. So, like I said, they definitely didn't sit us down and say, hey, make sure when you're in a relationship, make sure when you're married, you take time to recognize your spouse's feelings.
Yeah.
And not only recognize them, but now know how to deal with, how do you respond to that? How do you react to what their feelings are? Because the other thing is, watch this. I really don't like when you did. What do you mean, man? Be quiet. What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't nobody studying you. Yeah. Give you one long one and just be like, I wasn't even studying you when I did that. So to me, again, that's not recognizing and acknowledging the other person's feelings and
it perpetuates that you don't have feelings, or you're tough and you can handle anything, and that you're not sensitive, or sensitive is bad. But then maybe inside you're emotionally like dying.
I was
I had to work on him on that.
No, because I could see myself like, again, I know who I am, so I say how I feel.
Correct. And
it can definitely come off as harsh, like rude, because I'm gonna be honest. I know, like, my mom would tell people that I was rude. Like, Kareem is hard worker. He's a good child, but he's rude. And to me, I wasn't rude. To me, I was just straightforward.
Right.
I'm like, because I could be talking about you behind your back. I'd rather not do that. Let me just let you know how I feel. Because I can't take that whole, like, reserving feelings and then being bitter thing. Like, that just doesn't fly with me. So I was the one that, hey, if I felt a certain way, I would say it.
Right.
So, yeah. I definitely see how, like I said, we were not taught, like, nobody expressed to us how you have to be mindful of your spouse's feelings. and recognizing where they are. So yeah, that's something I wish they had sat us down. But again, like you said, they couldn't sit us down and teach us that because they definitely were not doing it.
So it's like, as much as the title is what we wish our parents would have taught us, I don't know if that should be the title. It should be something else. Well, we wish we knew, but not necessarily. Could they have taught us maybe the skills, and the knowledge, or
right, and things that we wish we knew.
Right.
You know, not necessarily just our parents, but things we wish that we knew before getting married.
Because I'd be watching Iyanla Fix My Life, and you know, this might be triggering to some. So warning that, you know, this girl let her parent know or a family member know how she was being sexually abused, and she didn't do anything or said that she was lying, and you know that woman was like very angry about
who didn't do anything.
Family member didn't do anything
when the girl told.
Correct. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So she's very angry about that, and Iyanla was like, well, that's what she knew and understood at that time. She didn't know how to handle it, or that's how she knew how to handle. Whereas on the outside looking in, or from our lens, you know, 20, 30 years. The younger generation anyway, looking at that situation like, of course you should have said something, you should have done something, you should have blah blah blah. But maybe at that time, or maybe that's what the way that she dealt with hard things was maybe to avoid. And there are some personalities or some people that are like that instead of fight, it's flight.
That's true.
So
that's true.
So that helped me to understand my parents a little bit better and give them grace. Right? Give them grace and forgive that there are some things that they didn't know, or things they didn't know how to process, or whatever. So, like, one thing is feelings. Just period. Not just recognizing, considering another person's feelings, but recognizing your own feelings.
Yeah.
Because, I guess, secondary or tertiary defense mechanisms show up, like anger instead of, well, I feel sad that you did this, or you act out in a different way instead of, oh, this is what really bothered me. So yeah, recognizing how you're feeling, you know, and then verbalizing to others, because not expecting someone else to know what you're feeling, but verbalizing it, and then how to deal with those feelings as well, because they need to go somewhere, because they can't rule over our lives. So. And this is something I'm still learning. I just, it would be good to see an example of that, but, you know, that's what therapy is for.
Yeah, definitely. I realized, though I was a person that didn't mind expressing myself, I do realize that there were times where, like you said, I didn't know what I was feeling. I just knew I was annoyed. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know why you're annoyed. You don't know, like, what triggered it, but you're just like, something's bothering me. And I didn't know that something was bothering me. Like, I was just annoyed, and I just reacted.
Yeah, same.
So it's like, not only do you have to take time to recognize your spouse's feelings, emotions, and the stuff that they're going through, but you have to take time to reflect on your own. Like, each time you get upset or each time you feel down, ask yourself, like, what triggered that?
Right. Go down. Sometimes they have to go down into that hole. Try to figure out the root. So yes, I love my mom. The best, right? But sometimes she was happy, and then sometimes she wasn't. And I'm like, you should be happy with me all the time. I didn't do anything to you. And especially when I didn't do anything. I saw that she was mad or annoyed. I was like, I don't understand what's going on. And I blamed myself. I was like, oh my goodness. As you know in the other videos, that's very present in our relationship. I'm like, I don't understand. I didn't do anything. Why are you mad at me? Then she was like, girl, I was on my period. And I was like, but how was I supposed to know? Or I was going through menopause. I was having hot flashes. I wasn't knowing. I was like, but how am I supposed to know? So the importance of recognizing your own feelings and then verbalizing it, making sure other people know that that's the kind of space that you're in. Or that your period can affect you that much. So, but yes, I do want to clarify something. So when I said, oh, I'm in a healthy relationship, but everybody else is not. No, I did not mean in that way. What I meant was, I'm grateful for the relationship I'm in now, and I can recognize through other people's lens, like I can recognize, okay, these are things that are absent, which are good that they're not present, or these are things that are here, which should be here to make sure that we're in a healthy, safe relationship. But in hindsight, again, thinking of little flings, I see how I could have ended up in an abusive relationship or an emotionally one where someone's putting me down, saying, you know, you should be grateful that I'm with you because I could be with anybody else. So.
I got you. But we're not going to skate past that whole period thing. Because in our relationship, so there was a point in time in our relationship where I realized that we were having an issue whenever Gabby was on her period. And I brought it to her attention, and of course, that didn't go well the first time.
Again, I have no weaknesses.
So that
nothing can influence me.
That did not go well the first time we talked about that. So
of course it didn't.
And I think you were saying something like you didn't want it to be used as
as an excuse to say I'm crazy or talk down to me, because brother, I'll come with the heat from all the period, all the emotions that are built up. I'm just kidding, but I just didn't want it as an excuse to be talking to people crazy, talking to me crazy.
Right, for like as far as me using it as an excuse to say, oh, you're just on your period.
Correct.
But that's not where I was coming from at all. I genuinely realized that if we were going to talk about a problem or issue, talking about it on her period is not the best time.
You're not wrong.
So it was like, so I got to the point where I stopped saying anything. So I said to her, I said, hey, I'm not going to say anything anymore. But what I want you to do is when it's that time of the month, you examine for yourself how you respond to me and how you deal with problems. And like when we have to talk about it together, how you deal with it. I said, you do it. I'm not going to say anything anymore about it. And
I saw no difference.
Right, whatever.
Just kidding. Saw a big difference.
Believe me, it resolved. And again, it's not to say, oh, you're on your period, but legitimately,
right.
If there's tension in a relationship or there's a topic that is sensitive, you know, people getting their feelings about, talking about it with your spouse during that time, you know, on your period is not the best time. And I would give that advice to anybody. You know, wait until after or do it before, whatever.
Some people might have their emotions fine. Their emotions are not affected by their period.
No. Yeah, you're right. Let's put that in there.
Right.
But I knew for us,
like
Gabby would
would what?
Go off.
The best, innocent, wise, like would not make any mistakes person that you've ever seen. It was on my period that I was the best.
You're funny with that one.
You didn't have to laugh out loud though.
So yeah, that was a good point. So we realize again, it's not that our parents were horrible parents. That's not what we're saying. Like, we love our parents. There are just some things, and maybe not just them, but there's just some things we wish we knew before getting married. There's some things we wish that they talked about that was a conversation in our household growing up, you know? So we're going to end it there, guys, and we hope that this video does that for you. Like, you are able to sit down in your family and have these types of conversations so that when you get older or your kids get older or what have you, at least there will be some kind of information out there. It would have been talked about in your home so that the knowledge is there to make wise decisions. So just want to end with that. So I'm K.A. Will.
And I'm Gabby.
And we are K&G Culture, and we want to thank you as our culture family for joining us for another video, another episode.